Good evening, and welcome to the late night hour. I'm Visage, and you're tuning into my late night show, where the night is ours to explore. Whether you're winding down or just getting started, I'm here to keep you company in the stillness of the dark. Tonight, I have an intriguing story to share, one that weaves tension and mystery, or leaves you curious about what lurks in the shadows. If you have a story of your own, send it my way, and I'll read it for you. So settle in, dim the lights, and let's venture into the enchanting unknown together. Arcade Night. When I first heard about Big Jack's Funhouse, it was like stumbling upon an urban legend that had slipped through the cracks. The kind of place your friends swear they went to as a kid, but nobody can remember exactly where it was. Old, broken down, abandoned, just the right kind of material for my YouTube channel. Lost legends. I live for places like this. Forgotten relics of the past, dripping with history and more than a little bit of mystery. Big Shack's Funhouse was one of those places that everyone talked about, but no one really knew much about it. Closed in the late 80s, the stories surrounding it were always vague. People going missing, machines turning on by themselves, long after the place was shut down for good. Rumors, sure, but juicy ones. Perfect clickbait. I figured a midnight trip with my camera would get me at least 100,000 views, maybe more. Heck, maybe even viral. Getting into the place wasn't hard. The building had been abandoned for decades. The front doors were chained, but the back was wide open. The lock rusted away with time. I slipped inside easily, flicking on my flashlight. The air was stale and thick with dust, and the smell, goodness, was like mold mixed with rotting wood. My boots crunched over the broken glass and debris as I walked deeper into the arcade. The first thing that struck me was the silence. I'd explored a lot of abandoned places, and they all had a kind of atmosphere, creaks, groans, wind sneaking through cracks. But this place, it was that quiet. Like the world itself stopped the second I stepped inside. Rows of ancient arcade cabinets lined the walls, their screens dark, joysticks sticky with layers of grime and age. Most of them were half smashed, their plastic cases shattered, wires dangling out like exposed nerves. I took my time, walking between the machines, filming as I went. The occasional sign or poster was still hanging, although the colors had long since faded. Everything in here felt wrong, in a place I couldn't explain, like stepping into a memory that didn't belong to me. After about 20 minutes of filming, I came across something that made me stop in my tracks. In the far corner of the room was an arcade cabinet that looked pristine, like brand new, in a place where everything else was falling apart. This one stood untouched by time. The cabinet was titled The Neon Grin. I'd never heard of it, and I prided myself on knowing every obscure arcade game out there. I walked closer, wiping a thick layer of dust off the screen, revealing the artwork underneath. A sinister-looking clown. Its grin stretched across its entire face, with glowing red eyes that seemed to follow me. Beneath the title, in faded letters, was the tagline: Play to win, stay to live. Creepy as hell, I muttered, pulling out my camera for a close-up shot. That's when it happened. The machine turned on. I didn't touch anything. I swear, 1 second it was just sitting there, dead and forgotten, and the next, it was alive, humming softly as the screen flickered to life. A wave of cold washed over me, and I couldn't tell if it was the sudden chill in the air or pure adrenaline. But I froze. My heart hammered in my chest, but my instincts kicked in. This was what I came for. Weird stuff, paranormal stuff, This was the jackpot. The screen glowed, and there it was, the clown from the cabinet art, only now in pixelated form, staring at me from the screen. Its grin was wider than any human faces should be able to manage, teeth sharp and jagged, its red eyes glowing brighter than the rest of the image. The old school 8-bit graphics almost made it look cartoonish, but there was something weird about it. Suddenly the words, "Welcome Player 1" flashed across the screen. The clown's grin stretched even farther. My hand hesitated over the joystick, but this was what I came here for, right? I was going to make this the biggest video I'd ever filmed. Views for days. I swallowed the lump in my throat, placed my hand on the joystick, and pressed the start button. That's when the screen shifted. The funhouse in the game was different than any arcade maze I've ever seen. It wasn't colorful or playful, it was dark, almost oppressive. Like the walls were breathing. My avatar, an 8-bit version of myself, stood in the center of the screen, surrounded by twisted corridors. Above him, floating like a dark sun, was the clown, watching, grinning, waiting. Simple enough, I muttered, pushing the joystick forward. My avatar moved, taking shaky steps down the maze. That's when I heard it. A scream. Real. Not in the game. It echoed through the arcade, bouncing off the walls and sending a shiver down my spine. I swung around, shining my flashlight toward the back of the room, half expecting to see someone. Anyone. But there was nothing. The room was empty. "Hello?" I called, my voice shaking a little. Silence. I turned back to the game. The clown's eyes seemed brighter now, its grin wider. "Continue, Player 1," flashed across the screen in pixelated letters. My avatar was standing still, waiting for my command. I took a deep breath and gripped the joystick tighter. It's just a game, I told myself. Just an old, broken game. I moved my avatar farther into the maze, the clown's laughter growing louder with every step. The walls seemed too close in around me, pixelated at first, but then it started to feel real. Too real. The funhouse wasn't just a game anymore, it was coming alive, the lights around me flickering, casting long, eerie shadows over the machines. That's when I felt it. A presence. Behind me. I whipped around, but again, there was nothing there. The arcade was as silent as the grave, but I knew there was something that I just couldn't describe. I felt watched. I felt hunted. I got goosebumps, and I could feel the hair on the back of my neck standing on end. I wasn't alone in here. I could feel eyes on me, watching my every move. Turning back to the screen, I saw something that made my stomach drop. My avatar wasn't alone anymore. In the reflection of one of the pixelated funhouse mirrors was a twisted version of me. A figure with glowing red eyes, a wide, toothy grin that stretched across the entire face. It stepped out of the reflection, moving toward my character. I yanked the joystick back, trying to escape, but the controls were unresponsive. The screen flickered, and suddenly, my avatar was trapped in a dark room, surrounded by mirrors that showed not just one twisted version of myself, but dozens. They all grinned, that same impossible grin, their eyes glowing red. Laughter in the game grew louder, blending with the sound of footsteps. Real footsteps, coming toward me. I backed away from the machine, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. The laughter was deafening now, filling the room, echoing off the walls. I dropped the camera. It scattered across the floor. The lens cracked. The clown was no longer just in the game. It was in the room. I saw it, standing between the machines, grinning at me with those glowing red eyes. Its face twisted into that impossible smile. It stepped forward, the world around me distorted with each movement. The walls stretched, warped, as if reality itself was bending to its will. I ran. I ran past the rows of machines, past the broken screens and shattered glass, the laughter following me, growing louder and louder until it was all I could hear. My legs burned, my lungs screamed for air, but I kept running, desperate to escape. But the arcade was a maze. Every turn brought me back to the same spot, the same grinning clown standing there, waiting. I don't know how long I ran. Minutes? Hours? Time didn't feel real anymore. Nothing did. Eventually, my legs gave out. I collapsed, hitting the floor hard, gasping for air. My chest was burning, my mind racing, but the laughter was still there, surrounding me, echoing from everywhere and nowhere all at once. It felt like the arcade itself was alive, breathing with an awful sound. I looked up, half expecting to see the clown standing over me, grinning, but there was nothing. The machines were still, the lights flickering weakly. It was just a room again, broken, decayed, and empty. But I wasn't alone. I could still feel it deep inside that grin, the neon grin. I knew it would never leave me now. I was part of it, part of the game. And the game doesn't let you go. Not really. My vision blurred, darkness creeping in from the edges. The cold from the floor seeped into my bones, numbing everything. The laughter started fading, becoming distant, but I knew it would come back. It always does. As I lost consciousness, one thought clawed at the edge of my mind. I just hope someone would find my footage before touching this game.